Hello, this clip is from the most recent episode of The Nick Symmonds Show. If you want to see that whole show, I'll link it in the description below. But today, it is Monday, so it is my Monday monologue, and today I'm talking about tapering for the big races, right? You've been training your butt off. Championship season is just around the corner. This is how you should taper and prepare for that race. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of The Nick Symmonds Show. I am your host, Nick Symmonds, and it's been an awesome few weeks talking about goal setting, goal achieving, updating you guys on my goals. But now as I'm starting to hear about your own goals some more, I'm learning that we're all entering championship season, my favorite time of year. For those of you out there who are getting to have a track season, I hope everybody's getting to have a season. We are entering my favorite time of year, which is championship season. You're talking about state championships. You're talking about NCAA championships. Pretty soon we're going to be talking about the Olympic trials. And this begs the question, how do we taper for a championship race or a championship season? It's really tough to do because sometimes we're actually tapering for multiple events. Last week we heard from one of our listeners that he's a little bit concerned that he has several different races he needs to taper into. You might have, districts and regionals and state or nationals. It's not easy. And I've touched on this a few times before in my books. I do have a book out called How to Be a Better Runner. And the very first chapter of that book is on periodization because it's everything that a season is built up of. It's the base phase, it's the sharpening phase, and of course it is the tapering phase. Now today, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I've always viewed a proper taper and common mistakes that people make when they're starting to taper if they haven't done it before. I think as an athlete, I ran professionally for 12 years, competitively for 20. One of the things that I was really good at, or, I can't take all the credit, one of the things my coaches were really good at was tapering me just right so that I ran my best races during championship season. I think once we've understood the base phase, and I've talked so much about the base phase, I think that should just kind of be in the back of your mind of, the 6 to 9 month buildup you need to have in a base phase, or in a short abbreviated season, just the few months that you're going to build that strength and then sharpen. A taper needs to be at most 2, maybe 3 weeks out of the biggest race of your season. And I think that oftentimes we over taper. I remember in college especially, I had a coach that loved a long taper. I'm talking a 3 or 4 week taper. And by the time we actually got to nationals, we were so out of shape and tired, because we hadn't been doing the work. So I like a quick, shorter taper. As a pro, I would, even going into the Olympic Games, I'm talking like a 10-day taper, a short taper where you're backing off volume, but you're not backing off intensity. I'm going to say that again because this is probably where people go wrong the most in a taper. You're backing off your volume, meaning you're going from, your peak volume in the sharpening phase or the base phase. You're backing off that volume by as much as 20, 30, even 50%, but you do not back off intensity. Right? So a lot of times people say, well, I can't do the hard 200 or a hard 400. I can't do those hard efforts. I'm only 3 or 4 or 5 days out of my championship race. I don't want to waste that energy. You're going to waste the energy if you do too much volume. You'll be tired out of volume, but you won't be tired out of intensity. In fact, you need to keep that intensity up to keep the neurologic system primed, to keep that fast twitch ready to be explosive. So as you're tapering, your legs are going to feel better and better. You're going to feel more explosive, but you need to be firing on all cylinders as you lead into that. Now, if you want to see how this is actually structured, another book I've got out is my 2012 Olympic training log. I never kept a training log in 20 years of competitive running. I probably should have. All my coaches wanted me to keep a training log, but I just didn't. It seemed like a pain in the butt to write down every single workout you did. But when I was going into the 2012 Olympic season, I was 28 years old. I knew this was going to be the best season of my life. And I knew one day, maybe at the age of 37, like I am today, I knew one day I was going to want to go back and look at all the work that I did to prepare for those Olympic Games. Now, ultimately, that ended up being the best season I ever had. I'm not attributing any correlation to the fact that I kept the log, although some coaches might. But it was the best season I ever had. I ended up running 1:42.95 to finish 5th at the London Olympic Games. And every single workout I did for about 11 months leading into those games. Every single workout, the swimming, the lifting, the track and field intervals, everything is in that training log. And more important than any one workout, I think you can see how I would build up a base, how I would begin sharpening, and ultimately, getting back to today's topic, you'd see how I tapered into a race. And I'm going to show you, just days out of the Olympic finals, the kind of workout that I was doing. All right, here is an entry, Friday, August 3rd, 2012. This is just days, 3-4 days before my first round of the Olympic Games. 3-mile warm-up, 2x600 in 138, 138, 2x400 in 63, and then 1x300 in 36.5. 36.5 is about 48 seconds for 400. So you'll see that, if you've read through this training log, you'll see that I backed my volume down significantly, but I'm cranking 300 as fast as I can possibly. My personal best in the 400 was only 47.4. So in this interval, I'm running right at my personal best for 300 meters. And I'm only 2 or 3 days out of racing my first round of the Olympic Games. So I'm going to just kind of leave this, if I haven't beaten it into your head enough yet, when we're tapering, we're going to back off volume, but we're not going to back off intensity. And I know a lot of you out there, young athletes, are starting to get ready for those big, big events. And I want you to think that you need to be firing all cylinders all the way into the first round or that big state championship, whatever meet you've got. Now, some of my young aspiring athletes, they've told me which games they plan on qualifying for. Some as young as, 10, 12 years old are talking about games way off in the future. But some of our listeners, some of our audience are actually about, knocking on the door of being able to qualify for the Olympic trials. And I really think that it would be a fun video if next Monday we talk about how one actually makes the Olympic team, because in the world of track and field, it's varied across nation, it's varied to a certain extent across event, but I know, having made 2 Olympic teams, exactly how you make a track and field team here in America, and I'm going to tell you, young aspiring athletes, how you can make an Olympic team. Run, go, run, go. That'll be next Monday's video. But right now, let's jump into some Q&A with our audience and find out what they're working towards and how they're tapering into their big races. Hey, I really want to thank all of you for watching these clips, and I really want to thank those of you who join me in my weekly Zoom meetings to ask me these questions. If you want to join, just text me at the number below here. I send out a text blast before every single recording. You could join me on the Nick Symmonds Show and ask me anything. This week, we talked a lot about running. If you guys want to check out my books, I do have 2 books available that can make you a better runner. One, aptly titled How to Be a Better Runner, available at nicksymmonds.com, hand autographed if you act now. And then also my 2012 Olympic training log, every single workout I did to prepare for the Olympic Games. That's also available at nicksymmonds.com. They are available as digital downloads anywhere in the world or as autographed copies, shipping free in the United States. Check that out at nicksymmonds.com. Thanks, guys.